So the state has collapsed. There is no state. Everybody is left alone to defend themselves. Women get raped, people get killed, their houses burned. And you said, you solve the problem, you talk to each other. If my life is threatened, whose responsibility is to protect my life? Is it anti-national to ask this question? Is it a rightful question that a thinking citizen must be asking this? The Indian state, the one of the most powerful state in the world, has it been able to stop the violence? Yes or no? Louder. Is it a fact or fiction? This is a fact that the Indian state has failed to stop the violence. These two facts must be kept in front of us. And then ask the remaining questions. Why, what, wherefore of these two facts? Why this violence has continued for so long? What is this nature of this violence? When it started? Why it has not been able to be sort of stopped? These are the questions that you must ask. Then I must also share you the second set of empirical facts. There are a lot of what Bhagat has called it competing narratives. There is a lot of confusions and silences, unexpected ones. From the day one, if you flick through it, some people say, for example, you ask a very pure question. Who is in charge of Manipur's law and order problem? Who is in charge? Is it CM Biren who is in charge of the state of Manipur? Is it the government of Manipur? Or is it the government of India? Who is in charge of Manipur? Do we have a clear-cut answer on this? Why is that? In a federal structure like this, why we are not able to say that Sri Biren Singh and the government of Manipur is in charge of the law and order situation in Manipur? Because right from the day one, a confusion has been created. You said Article 355 has been imposed. And some later on then people say it is not. When the top journalist in this country is giving lectures on media saying that 355 has been imposed, and after some time you realize that it is not, then you also ask, was the DCP removed by the government of Manipur, or is it on the advice and instruction of the New Delhi? Do you have a clear picture on this? Who's sending these armed forces? Is it a requisition from the state government requesting the union government to send the army or the defense forces or security forces, or is it the government of India who are sending these forces without those advice? Have we asked this question ever? We don't know. The Home Minister says on the floor of the Parliament that the CM is cooperating. What does that mean? Jo kahega wo karega. Wahi cooperation hota hai ki nahi? So who's calling the shot? Is it our own representative who swear by Indian Constitution as MLAs and ministers? Are they in charge of it? Or is it New Delhi in charge of it? Or is there a jugalbandi between these two and creating a confusion so that this violence can continue? Do we ask these questions? No, you are very good at blaming Biren, Manipur government, you are interested, Maitai government, Biren, and you become a target without even clarifying these issues, whether he is actually in charge of the state of Manipur or not. On the other hand, are you able to blame the government of India? No, because there is a facade of a government there, so they will say that this is the state government. We are caught, not only in violence, but in these confusions. Saying something, doing something else, and we keep on waiting. And then you say, solve the problem yourself. Is it my duty to solve this violence as a citizen? If my life is threatened, whose responsibility is to protect my life? You tell me. You're all university students and faculty members. Under Article 12, if you remember that Indian Constitution's chapters on fundamental rights, it was defined vis-a-vis the state. That is why it starts with Article 12, which defines what is state. It is the legislative assemblies and the parliament and the state government as well as the union government and executive. These are what is defined as the state. You're supposed to protect your life, your property, your dignity, your well-being. That is state's responsibility. That is why the state exists. In your theory, you must have learned on social contract theory. state of nature, everybody fighting against each other, and then through contract you have the state. That's the state's responsibility. When a criminal has attacked you, it is the law enforcing agencies who are supposed to help you out and get justice. What has been happening in Manipur for the last 4 months? Everybody is being left alone to defend themselves. There is no state. It is the villagers. You can see any damn newspapers and media houses in this country flagging these facts, that there are village guards defending their villages. Is this state forces? Are these state agencies or civilians or the non-state actors? So the state has collapsed. There is no state. Everybody is left alone to defend themselves. Women get raped, people get killed, their houses burn. And you said, you solve the problem, you talk to each other. Is this the way the state behave? What are we talking about? You learn in political science theories, in law and human rights, in Supreme Court, Parliament, Assembly, government. What are they supposed to do? They are supposed to protect your life as a citizen. And you say you talk to each other and resolve. That's why in one of my articles, if you have read, I call it as a Hobbesian world. Nothing like this has happened in India. This is not your normal communal riots. People are armed to the teeth and defending themselves, their villages. And the media in this country of a democracy is celebrating the fact that citizens are armed and defending themselves. You think there is court, there is army, there is police, there is government, there is a prime minister, there is a CM. When the state is supposed to be there for you, when the state is nowhere, and your media is talking about it day in, day out. That statelessness is a reality in Manipur. You're left alone to defend your life. Rehabilitation, even citizens are pulling in money to help them. How many of you know this, especially from Manipur? Some of you must have contributed your monies and so on to help those citizens. Whose responsibility is this? Do we need a state or a non-state sort of a state of nature? Do you want this Hobbesian world to exist? This moral questions that there is an abject failure of the state is something that some people have somehow managed to divert and create conflict and confusions by blaming one community or the other community. We are caught in this blame game of the community, each other. What you see in Manipur is nothing but statelessness. It's a Hobbesian world. This is not the state institutions which is securing your life, which is supposed to be done under the constitution of the country. It is the citizens themselves trying to secure their life by arming themselves. How did this great country allows that? Have you ever asked or heard this question being raised in any of this national media? Have you? No. Rather, they have become part of the conflict. Spreading falsehood, taking sides. That's how all this great national media is doing. For the record, I must keep it straight here. For the local newspaper getting bias, in some sense, understandable, not justifiable. I repeat, it is understandable but not justifiable. Why I do say that this is understandable? Because they are in that conflict situation. They are part of a conflict dynamics in that state. So if the local media somehow gets biased, for instance, which I am doing it with a team of my researchers, you will see some other things as well. But what will you explain the national media who's sitting in Delhi, in Chennai, what stake do they have to be part of the conflict? To be biased? I can understand cookies or the Maitais or the newspaper in Manipur getting twisted and influenced by what has been going on there and not able to stick to, strictly speaking, certain objective style of reporting and so on. One might be able to understand that. But again, not justifiable. But please tell me, how will you explain national media and national body like Editor Guild of India producing twisted reports, factually incorrect, which everybody is here. Everybody can check. Communal violence is a cancerous element in this country right from the day one. It was born out of communal violence called partition. The legacy still continues. But have you ever seen Muslim being shifted out from one area and ghettoized in one area, Hindu from one area to ghettoized on another, or the Sikhs from certain areas and put it somewhere, or ex-caste from certain locality to some other locality? Have you ever seen the transfer of population from one place to another by the state? Have you ever seen this? Why this silence? Have you ever seen in this country? Then why is that you're doing that in Manipur? What is your game plan? Is that state different? Do you think that the citizens of this country can be ghettoized based on their language, based on their religion, their ethnicity or tribal identities? There could be ghettoized enclave of this population? This is the other side of the same question. Why is that the Indian state is not able to stop this violence? Besides the silences. We have not asked questions. It's not a joke. People are losing lives, their homes, thousands of them. You have never seen such kind of thing in this country. And the rest of the country taking sides rather than fundamentally worried about these issues. The basic questions has not been asked. Ask this question. Who is in charge of this law and order government? Is it a tactical move to avoid the blame game? That if you remove one government, then the whole blame will come on another government? Is it a jugalbandi between these two? Who is in charge of this law and order situation? Is it the requisition coming from the state government to send in troops to control it? Is the transfer and the removal of the DZ and so on has been affected by the CM or something else? What is this federal structure in this country? What is state supposed to do? These are fundamental questions that we must ask. You think that this transfer of population has happened in this country? You said, no, you haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. The only thing that I'm aware is the creation of Pakistan and India, where this thing had happened. So are you trying to create a communally grounded project of territorial ghettos resided by certain specific communities, and this country is going to celebrate that? In the name of tribal rights, in the name of self-determination, are you going to do this violence? Do you expect us to do this? Next time, if there is any damn violence in this country, ask them to shift the population from one area to the another. Give all the Sikhs in one group because there is a violence between Hindus and Sikhs. Shift the entire Muslim onto one ghettoized locality and keep them up. What is this Indian state has been doing it? Why we should not be asking these questions? Is it anti-national to ask this question? Please tell me, you are a citizen, your voice is important. Is it anti-national to ask this question? Is it a rightful question that a citizen, thinking citizen, must be asking this? Begin asking these questions. It's too much. 4 months. Look at those people. I have seen one guy who is talking from a relief camp. It hits here. He says he wants to commit suicide. You and I can go back after this meeting and sleep in a proper place. We'll not miss our dinners. There are thousands of them, 60, 70,000 people without homes in Manipur now.